Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. There is a remarkable story developing now in the U.S. political world, and it could have a huge impact on control of the U.S. Senate.
State Senator Angela Paxton has filed for divorce from Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, citing biblical grounds and recent discoveries that led her to believe staying in the marriage isn't loving or respectful to her family.
Ken Paxton, the Texas Attorney General, is challenging Republican incumbent Senator John Cornyn in one of the most closely watched GOP Senate primaries. Paxton is close with Donald Trump. Cornyn is not. But the headlines about Paxton now include this: MAGA star's wife takes biblical revenge for years of cheating. On X, Angela Paxton wrote, "Today, after 38 years of marriage, I filed for divorce on biblical grounds. I believe marriage is a sacred covenant, and I have earnestly pursued reconciliation. But in light of recent discoveries, I do not believe it honors God or is loving to myself, my children, or Ken to remain in the marriage." According to local reports, Ken Paxton's extramarital affairs were part of the story 2 years ago, connected to this.
Attorney General Ken Paxton, a Republican, became just the third person ever to be impeached in that state, and he was impeached by Republicans. Wasn't even a close vote in the GOP-controlled state house.
The impeachment centered on corruption allegations and Paxton's alleged use of taxpayer money to settle personal lawsuits filed against him.
A majority of Texas House Republicans voted to impeach one of their own Saturday.
The resolution is adopted.
Acting to oust the state's Attorney General, Ken Paxton.
He put the interest of himself above the laws of the state of Texas.
Lawmakers began investigating Paxton back in March after he asked for $3.3 million in taxpayer money to settle a whistleblower lawsuit filed by staffers whom Paxton fired after they went to the FBI with their corruption allegations. The 20 articles of impeachment include charges of not only misappropriation of public resources, but also bribery, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy. Houston Representative Ann Johnson is on the House Investigative Committee.
The exposure of the felony crimes that Ken Paxton has done is the kind that would erode the public trust.
In the midst of the impeachment, Paxton admitted to his own staff that he had an affair with a four-time divorcee named Laura Olson. The affair had been discovered by Paxton's chief of staff, who then testified about it in the Texas impeachment trial and in front of Paxton's wife. With Angela Paxton listening, former chief of staff testifies that Ken Paxton admitted his affair with Laura Olson. Catherine Missy Carey, the chief of staff, testified that Paxton became frantically upset with her when she confronted him about the affair and that he still loved Mrs. Olson. So what changed, and why would Paxton's wife, who stood by him in the midst of his impeachment, file for divorce now, as Attorney General Ken Paxton is on the cusp of a Senate primary race? Well, according to several reports, Paxton's wife recently discovered new details about her husband's cheating that he had not previously disclosed or acknowledged. For his part, Ken Paxton is not speaking about his apparent infidelity. On X, he simply wrote, "After facing the pressures of countless political attacks and public scrutiny, Angela and I have decided to start a new chapter in our lives. I could not be any more proud or grateful for the incredible family God has blessed us with, and I remain committed to our amazing children and grandchildren. I ask for your prayers and privacy at this time." Of course, on his social media feeds, Paxton is not staying private. Above his divorce announcement on X is a very public attack against incumbent Republican Senator John Cornyn. Ken Paxton is not promoting himself much yet in this campaign. He's just ripping John Cornyn and accusing the incumbent senator of being too moderate, which is ironic when you consider Paxton's ethical lapses and views about marital fidelity. In any case, this Texas Senate primary is a big deal because it will help guide the direction of the Republican Party. A Paxton win will push the U.S. Senate even further to the right with more extremism and less compromise. Republican John Cornyn is not exactly a friend of Democrats, but he has shown his independence from MAGA on some issues. Also waiting in the wings after the Senate primary will be a Democratic challenger. And between Cornyn angering MAGA and Paxton now sickening Christian evangelicals, Democrats sense a Senate seat pickup opportunity. And momentum is building behind Democratic state lawmaker James Tallarico. Well, Tallarico has not yet formally declared he will run in the Democratic primary for U.S. Senate in Texas. Tallarico could pose a remarkable challenge to whoever wins the Republican Senate nomination. Unlike Cornyn, Tallarico is young, And unlike Ken Paxton, Tallarico is a devout Christian who actually reads the Bible and lives by it.
Do you ever notice that it's the politicians who talk the most about being a Christian who are the least Christ-like? You can't call yourself a Christian and deny health care to the sick. You can't call yourself a Christian and vote to cut food stamps for the poor. You can't call yourself a Christian and reject the stranger seeking asylum at our southern border. You can't call yourself a Christian and destroy God's creation with greenhouse gases. And you can't call yourself a Christian and discriminate against your neighbor because of their race, gender, or sexual orientation. I personally know plenty of Hindus, Buddhists, Jews, Muslims, Sikhs, and atheists who are more Christ-like than some of the self-proclaimed Christians serving in elected office.
One of the self-proclaimed Christians serving elected office in Texas right now is Attorney General Ken Paxton. Will Paxton be able to overcome politically his own wife leaving him? Will that matter more to Texas Republicans than Senator John Cornyn's independence from Donald Trump? Could James Tallarico be the Democrat who finally takes a U.S. Senate seat in Texas away from the GOP? The battle for the U.S. Senate was interesting to begin with. Now, in Texas, it has become even more intriguing. By the way, Donald Trump is generating new dementia concerns as his physical and emotional decline become more obvious.
And is there an expected time frame that detainees will spend here, days, weeks, months? And does that have anything to do with the immigration judges you just spoke about being trained and staffed here?
When you say, what was the first part of your question?
Is there a specific time frame you expect the detainees to spend here? Days, weeks, months?
In Florida?
Yes, here at Alligator Alcatraz.
I'm going to spend a lot. Look, this is my home state. I love it. I love your government. I love all the people around. These are all friends of mine. They know them very well. I mean, I'm not surprised that they do so well. They're great people.
Headline: Trump's noticeable limp raises health fears as he struggles to board Air Force One. Neurologists keep pointing to Trump's slow gait and his right leg swing as he walks and goes up and down stairs. Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from William, who wrote, "His dementia should be enough to get his ass immediately out of office." Indeed. I look forward to reading your comments about MAGA Senate candidate Ken Paxton in Texas getting busted by Paxton's now soon-to-be ex-wife. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.